I think that most of the people here know what is blockchain, but we can maybe try a quick explanation. I would say that it's a decentralized system, to make it very simple. Let's say if I centralize an information, if you hack me or if I want, I can modify it and I can change the rule of the game. But because with blockchain, we distribute the information to all your computers and all our computers, if you want to change this information, you would have to change it simultaneously on all our computers, and you would have to have our agreement, which is certainly won't happen. So that's why we say that it's clearly safe, and there are a lot of applications, and we will start, because you have started, but we will start again to talk about it, because the topic is how blockchain and crypto can create opportunities and help African startups. So maybe we can start this way. We will just state one problem and a solution that could fit, that could help to solve this problem. Do you want to start, Rodrick?
Sure.
Cool.
Thank you once again. But before I go on to explain on what is expected of me, I would just want to make sure that everybody here really understands, or maybe if you don't understand, then you have heard of the term Bitcoin or maybe blockchain at least once, so I know who I'm talking to. So how many people here have heard about blockchain before? Show of hands.
Everybody.
Great. Impressive. Bitcoin? Everybody, right? That's where the money is. All right, great. So in very simple terms, very less technical, I want to explain what a blockchain is, or when you hear about a blockchain technology, what is it about? So here's the thing, simple. To understand blockchain, let's try to understand the current situation. So the current situation is that if you want to communicate with anybody, if you want to pass down information, if you want to send money, the current situation would want you to use an intermediary. That's correct, right? So I have to use a bank to send money to you. I have to use Facebook to communicate to you. So basically, we are operating in trust-based systems. So what blockchain does, or something interesting about the blockchain technology is, it is here to eliminate the need of intermediaries. So you think about blockchain technology, think about eliminating an intermediary. So the good thing here is, actually it's not a good thing. People do confuse blockchain with cryptocurrencies. The first thing somebody understands when you mention cryptocurrency, he'll just tell you straight up, it's a scam, right? Okay. Everybody's scared to invest in Bitcoin, Ripple, or whatever cryptocurrency there is. So because they believe it's a scam. So here's the thing. Because of blockchain technology, what we're going to witness is a lot of decentralized communities. So a lot of projects will be decentralized projects. So you hear a project about a blockchain or based on blockchain technology, then you're pretty much talking about decentralization. So here's the thing, beautiful. In any project, right now, what happens is that you peg, what should I say, let's say token or a coin to your project. So what happens is that you give value to your project. So if that coin or token becomes successful, then your project is successful. You don't need to tell me about the details of your project. I look at the price of the coin or token, I understand it is successful. So from now on, let's just look at Bitcoin, not as a currency per se, but as a project. and that currency represents the success of the project. So here's the thing, I don't want to go off the topic. I'm here to talk about how blockchain and cryptocurrency can help startups. So very simple. The current situation is that if I want to start a company, say a private company, I have only two fund options, right? I would just go for VC or angel investor, or maybe the second option, I just get a loan from a bank, right? Now here's the thing, as far as blockchain is here, you don't need that. What do you need? You peg a token or a coin to your project, you launch what we call ICOs. It's pretty much like crowdfunding, right? So you sell your token, you raise your capital, and then you straight up into your project. So for startups, I hope that's pretty good news, because I believe out of all the problems, funding is pretty core, right?
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's definitely super important what we are talking about, the financing. So it's a good transition to
Sure.
Auditor, because if you heard a little bit about ICO, 95% of the ICOs are scams.
Yeah, sure.
Globally. So our mission with people like you and others is how we make sure that this new system of financing our economy is not a scam area. So this is where the auditor appears. So can you tell us a little bit more about why what is the relationship between audit and blockchain?
Okay, the relationship between auditing and blockchain is that nowadays governments are starting putting their documents in blockchain. And I'm a government auditor. So in order for me to be able to audit the government documents, I have to learn about blockchain. I can't learn blockchain in 2 or 3 days. So I'm also trying to impact my fellow auditors about the blockchain. Because the problem is this technology is running so fast, while most of us are not even aware of that.
We have some reverb. Viola, I will continue with you. So we are talking about which is the problem and how blockchain and crypto can solve this problem. You have started to give a solution. Maybe you can develop more or give another example. There are many examples like land registration, like KYC. We can see that, for example, I have some example of, for example, Wisekey, a startup collaborating with Microsoft with the government of Rwanda, which is an example. There is Interpol and VogPay in Nigeria about crime organization in Nigeria. They collaborate. Do you have example that you can talk about?
Well, I think for the purposes of this event, I don't think the audience wants to hear about random, vague ideas. They want to know what's physically happening and what are the challenges. From an abstract standpoint, of course, blockchain is wonderful when used within an environment that is applicable for the traceability. That's what I like the most about it. And it is, of course, we would like to be able to see it used for voters registration. Right now, Cameroon is having an absolute hot mess as it relates to voting. That could be a brilliant application. Blockchain could be great as a way to help women in areas where things like identity, birth registrations, land ownership and registry in situations where there's polygamy. We have a very specific situation at Ovambo where, because we use cultural and ethnic data to make risk and credit decisions, when our technology picks up that there is a likelihood that there's maybe more than one spouse, the ability to actually enforce and perfect collateral becomes a challenge if you don't know whose wife owns what is another way. I see there is a wonderful interchange where I think that as we start to store data on things like DNA, synthetic DNA, the ability to interface that with blockchain to be able to establish how and where data is stored and why, and to quickly address where it applies for, is something that I think in the future is going to be great. But for us, right now, a practical use, it's really on the contract side. I can see its application in crime, but I think it will require for many African police forces to actually teach crime enforcement and forensic investigation. So we might be a little bit early in that respect. But for us, I really love what it's going to do to bring Islamic finance into general acceptability and outside of some people's misunderstanding of its use, because we have a lot of success with it.
Thank you very much. I will give, for example, a concrete example. For example, what we will do at Afrobytes. We are observing this ecosystem for a long time. We have seen some problems for the startup. And one of the problems is the financing of the startup. You started with that, talking about ICO. The problem that we have, that we can observe from north to east to west, all across Africa, we start to have business angel, but it's not enough. You don't have an ecosystem of business angel in Mauritania or in Mali or in Senegal, barely in some other countries, not at all in Comoros Island, the country where I come from. I don't talk even about VC. We have a great job achieved by AfriLabs, by VC for Africa, but even if they double, they triple, they do more, 10 times the job, we still have a very large demand. So the question was, for a moment, how can we involve the diaspora? How can we involve the diaspora? So many people start to think about we should create a fund, but in my opinion, it doesn't work, because you don't invest in somebody because just he's black. That just doesn't work. So we started to think, and we will launch very practically a proof of concept at Afrobytes. We will ask the diaspora to do some mining. You open your computer, you download a plugin, you mine. The second thing that we're going to do for this proof of concept is that we will decide to create a voting token. And this voting token will be addressed to the community. So you talked about intermediaries. We don't want to have intermediaries between the final consumer and the startup. The final consumer will elect the startups he wants to manage his health, his finance, and we want to create our own champions. Because we cannot have our champions decided in the Silicon Valley or whatever. We have to decide it on our own. And frankly, after observing this ecosystem for 3 years, I think we don't have a choice to at least try. There is this POC. I hope that some people in this room, in your lab, others will try other POC, but we have to, proof of concept, but we have to find a solution to finance ourselves, our ecosystem. Please, maybe you want, because time is running. No, please, Rodrick. If you want to add or maybe make a conclusion, because we only have 3 minutes. I'm looking at the time. It's running fast. So you were quite short. You want to talk a little bit about financing the ecosystem?
Come again, you say?
Hmm?
You say what?
If you want to talk a little bit more about the ICO.
All right.
Yeah?
All right, great. Thank you once again for the chance. I don't think I have a lot at this point, because whenever I have to talk about blockchains and cryptocurrencies, I always use more than an hour. It's a very interesting topic. So if you have any more questions, please, you can see me. I know I was trying to hide my T-shirt, because somebody sees you wearing a blockchain T-shirt, they think you're giving away Bitcoins. So yeah, you have questions, just see me after here.
Yes,
Great.
exactly. Unless you want to add anything, maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions in the audience, if you have questions. We have one question here.
Hello, my name is Maksud. I'm an art director and an entrepreneur. I have a question for our last panelist. About you were talking about the blockchain and the Sharia law and how it's going to make it more secure. I just wanted you to just speak a bit more about what that means, or
Yes.
what differentiates it from using a normal account. If you
Absolutely.
could help me with that, thanks.
What is your name? I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. She made a wonderful point when she was speaking from the audit standpoint. The audit trail that is required is just as important within Islamic structures as in non-Islamic structures. And the reason why this is important is if you consider the portfolio of your standard bank, where you've got a variety of small and medium enterprises doing work that can be anything from alcohol related to tobacco to even pig farming or anything like that. If you're going to be successful within Islamic finance, you've got to be able to have a firewall between those. To date, with the explosion of Islamic windows at non-Islamic banks, the need to be able to have firewalls, separation, proof of transactions to be able to satisfy the Sharia audit, which is known as AOFI, is going to be a phenomenal tool for bringing what is sometimes an underserved section of the banking and finance industry into general populace. And that is specifically what I meant. Does it answer your question? Brilliant.
Any other question? Please tell us your name as you ask the question and who you'd like to address it to. Thanks.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sumantra, and more than a question, it's a point that I'm trying to make. So I've been working in the blockchain space for 4 years now, okay, and why I think blockchain is important for Africa is, you know, what is the biggest problem that is plaguing Africa? It's the flight of capital, okay, it's, you know, conversion from your local currency into the USD, you know, it's all the black money which is out there, you know, which is creating this huge, you know, cost of capital for small and medium enterprises, for anybody, you know. So I think that that's the point that we need to focus on for Africa, and Africa is in a position where it can take and lead this revolution rather than, you know, being a follower like all the other tech revolutions that have happened. And that's where I think, you know, Blockchain Tanzania and, you know, all you panelists out here can help, you know. So instead of taking the narrative of, you know, say raising capital cheaply and easily, I think we should look at it as something which will, you know, put Africa on a level playing field, you know, if we as governments and as people realize, you know, what is the potential that blockchain brings. You know, and I think starting with anti-money laundering and, you know, even security tokens, which is like the next big thing, where you can create fractional ownership of assets like your land, your real estate, you know, even companies, their equity, or for that matter, works of art. You know, those are the things that are going to change and, you know, help Africa take the spot that it rightly deserves.
Thank you.
Do we have time for one more, Mr. Moderator?
The very last one.
Because that was more of a comment, I think, a contribution. So maybe one, is it a question? Okay, let me come over there. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Musa Kolokola from Hype Interactive. I'm a user experience designer. My question is, actually, I need clarification. You said something, the blockchain creates a distributed ledger, but I feel like it's a way for the new startups to get the piece of the cake of the banks who are the intermediary. because at the end of the day, the intermediary right now, the bank, gets replaced by the startup who owns the blockchain. I don't know, it feels that way. Like the one who created the blockchain network still owns it, and he's the new intermediary. Yeah.
I would let you develop, but I would say that it depends if it's a public or a private blockchain, to make it simple. But you can develop because that's specifically your field.
That's great. Yeah. So what happened is that we have different types of blockchains. A blockchain may be private, or it could be a public blockchain. Bitcoin is a public blockchain. By public, I mean nobody owns the Bitcoin network, right? So there isn't intermediaries. So it depends, private or public. Public, that's a pure notion of what blockchain is supposed to be.
For example, the person who is supposed to have invented the blockchain, his name is Satoshi. Nobody knows which Satoshi, so we said, okay, Satoshi is African.
A woman. It's
maybe.
A woman. It's a woman.
And she's probably a woman. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I just want to add that because we are located in Paris, just to let you know, we are starting to build a task force with different companies in Europe, USA, Hong Kong, because we want to learn from their mistakes to make sure that we don't operate the same mistakes in our growing ecosystem. So we will learn from them, we will learn from their mistakes to make sure that what we will build here, because we don't have so much alternatives, so we have to play this game very well. We just have to make sure that we don't have scams. We have to build the confidence. So if you are a startup and you go to see people that have the expertise, the auditor, try to make it the right way. Because if we destroy the general public confidence, we are all done. Thank you very much.